Hi there, this is SorcererSeige. I want to start by saying thank you so much for viewing this submission video. We're going to be submitting for Earthbound Boogey Percent, the 4-way race, and I'm submitting actually as a backup for in case one of the other 4 guys can't do it. So we're going to switch over to one of my runs that I did, one of my most recent PBs, and I'm going to do some commentary for you guys over the top so you can see what's going on. So let's do that now. First thing you're going to notice is when we hit start here and the timer starts, you're actually going to see a 1-minute cutscene. I personally tend to do music for my stream during that point, but this is a great opportunity at an event like AGDQ to talk some about the game, give some of the backstory, and also explain what is going on. So like I said, it's a 1-minute cutscene. We're actually seeing the town of Onet as we go to Ness's house. We meet our main character. At the very beginning, it's fairly basic. We're going to have a lot of walking at the start, but we are going to be utilizing some tech. One of the items that you'll see that really makes a difference in the run is we're going to do something called stutter stepping, which I'll explain a little bit more later on, but the basics of it are we're doing a frame perfect input that basically lets us manipulate certain enemies that are abusable with that also have movement based off Ness. And by doing those inputs very precisely, we're able to kind of sneak past them. You'll get to see that on some enemies in a little bit. So this is the start of the game. We actually are going to hear this meteorite land, and then Ness is going to wake up, and the game begins. We're basically going to start walking around, and our job is to go figure out what that noise was. Alright, and we're going to make a little detour on the way. Our sister Tracy has a cracked bat hidden in a present. One thing that's really great about Earthbound is they use items like presents and boxes and stuff like that to show what would normally be treasure. And that lets us have a little bit more creative way of seeing those things. Alright, so already we are off. We're leaving the house. We're just going to dodge our mother and go explore up this hill. So at this point, the spawns are actually turned off in the game, so we can't get any enemies on this hill. So we're just going to walk up and hopefully not run into too many things. This is a really, really good time just to put in a few donations. Lots of free time for that. We're actually going to go up this hill a few more times. And each time we're going to try to be a little bit quicker with it and try to be a little more precise with our movement. Alright, so this is Pokey. He, at this point, is your friend, but he's quite rude. Basically tells you that the officers don't appreciate you hanging around and tells you to leave. So we're going to go back home, because apparently that's enough for us. So again, here's that climb. Probably another opportunity for a donation. Alright, we're going to go back to our mother. We have to be careful to mash confirmation here, which we can do with L and A. There's going to be a lot of points where the game's going to ask you if you agree with something, or it's going to ask you, sometimes it'll ask you if you'd like to repeat, like the game to repeat that line of text. And if you say yes to the repeating the text, then you get it again, so you have to mash B there. However, other times it'll ask you if you understand, and you have to say, yes, I do understand. So being aware of that and not getting too distracted by the chat is very important. So actually, we're hearing knocking in the game. Pokey is knocking at the front door, and this is another point where we have to mash confirmation. We want to basically say, yes, we will go with you. His brother's gone missing, and he's actually up at the meteorite at the top of the hill, which we'll see in a moment. But Pokey's asking if you go with him, and he'll kind of whine and beg. If you say no, he'll be like, but you're my best friend. Won't you go with me? So we have to say yes. It's a big plot point. Your mother here is actually going to send you to change out of your PJs so that you can continue the game as well. So we're going to go back up to our bedroom, change instantaneously, and then come right back down. Yeah, Pokey is kind of an interesting character in the game. He ends up being the main antagonist, spoilers alert, but is, in turn, while he is a pain, he also really pushes the plot of the game quite often, but then ends up kind of getting on the bad side of everything, and that actually comes all the way through to the end of the game. Alright, so here we got a phone call as we were trying to leave. Our dad gave us a quick call, so we're actually going to call him. He is the save person of the game. So when you call your dad, you basically can save the game. he also will deposit money into our bank account. All right, so spawns are on now, so you'll see that we got a spawn there on the left side. A spawn at the very beginning is not a huge deal. We can get them caught on that first bush. You can see we got another dog on the top left there. We're basically going to have a lot of despawning that we go back and forth and do. It's not easy in a race. Oh, man. It's not really easy in a race to get up the hill, and most of the runs get reset at the beginning here if we want to get a decent time, only because a battle is not ideal. As you can see, it's very frustrating trying to get through this. We actually did a recent 4-way race that I think just about every hill somebody had issues here or there, but it's not game breaking. There's lots of points in these races where a death can happen and where the leader can switch over. Actually, the first round of that race I ended up winning, but I was behind by the most time right here at the very beginning. So it's amazing how quickly things can turn around. All right, so we climbed up the rest of the hill, got through the spawns. It's ideal not to get a spawn there, but if you do get in a battle, your best thing to do is to fight it out. We're going to go meet Picky, who fell asleep here, hanging out behind this meteorite. And yeah, now we've got Picky. We basically are going to go home. But Pokey's going to take a moment to talk to you about buzzing that he's hearing. And apparently we're going to stop and listen. So we're actually going to see like the biggest character here at the very beginning. Buzz is going to join us, and he is absolutely overpowered, and that's good because we're going to go up against a fight that we would absolutely be annihilated in if it wasn't for Buzz's help once we get down to the bottom of this hill. But don't worry, even though we've got the game-breaking Buzz with us, he's not going to hang out with us for long, and we're going to have to get back to doing our own work in battles again soon. But yeah, so this is like the big plot point where the game starts to reveal about Gildas, not Gildas, I'm sorry, that's a different game. Gygus, this bad guy, who basically has sent has sent other guys back from the future to endanger Ness because Ness is the only one who can defeat him. Buzz actually came back to protect us and to warn us and to help us become the person we are going to become so that we can save the world. So big plot point, and as for any speed run, we are going to skip all that text and not talk about it. So again, spawns are off, so we're able to just freely walk down this hill, and we're going to get one of the most important items for the run. This is bread roll. That's going to let us heal up at a certain point to hopefully avoid taking a death right before Frankie, which we'll get to all that. If you're wondering why we call this Boogie Percent, we actually call it Boogie Percent because there is a boogie tent that we come across about a third to a fourth of the way through the speed run. And we're going to beat that tent, we're going to get the fly honey, and then we are going to peace out of the game. So that's the official Boogie Percent rounds, and it was actually a race category. And so it's perfect that if we're going to have it at AGDQ, it's perfect that we would use it as an actual race. All right, so this is Starman Jr. He actually is one of those guys that Gygus has sent back to take us out. And again, if it wasn't for Buzz, we would be annihilated here. But Buzz has actually used a shield to protect us. And then Buzz is going to do all the damage to take this guy out. You can see the kids are doing 1 and 2 damage, depending on who's attacking. And Buzz can easily do anywhere from 35, I believe he can go down to 30, and all the way up to 150 if he smashes. And there he was able to do 2 attacks from Buzz was able to do it. So we call that a 2-round. It's a really good time. It would be a lot better if I hadn't had that snake fight. Fortunately, that snake fight does cause all kinds of issues. All right, so normally we would like to just continue on with the game, but instead, Pokey's going to insist if we try to leave the hill that we get Picky home, because that was the whole reason why we came out in the first place. And so we're going to take him home. His dad's going to take a moment here and go hug his sons. So really good parenting there. And then, yeah, and then he's going to come back and talk to us. He actually makes us feel bad. Apparently he has lent Ness's family like $100,000 or something ridiculous. And so he claims that would like us to leave because he doesn't really like us because of all the money he's loaned to our father. And here's the moment that, well, we have to say goodbye to Buzz. Buzz, as powerful as he is, apparently his insect form allows him to only take 1 swat. So it's a good thing that he wasn't attacked by Starman Jr. at all, and Starman Jr. only casts spells. So here we actually have to mash confirmation. We're going to say, yes, we understand. and then we immediately have to respond back a couple text boxes later. We respond back with, no, we don't want you to repeat yourself. So again, if you get distracted while trying to enter this, you can literally get caught in a loop where you'll keep going back through the entire text. It can be very frustrating. So always a focus point in the run. All right, and like every true gamer, the sun is coming out, and we have been up all night, but we're just going to keep going because that's not going to stop us. We have things to do. All right, so getting down this hill can actually be kind of tricky. There's a lot of enemy spawns that can happen all in this section, and again, we don't want any fights. All right, so there's a perfect example of a dog on that left side of the screen that was coming at us. Oof, gosh. Yeah, multiple spawns here. You can see another dog there at the bottom. Normally, you can get through this completely clean with no enemy spawns, and then sometimes you can get like 3-4 dog spawns like we just got there, where you're just continuously going back and forth. You can despawn enemies by walking about an entire half a screen length down, or about a fourth of a screen to the right or left. All right, so we just got the Mr. Baseball cap. That's actually a really important item in this run. Ness got this. This apparently is a friend of Ness who knows that he's been wanting the hat for a long time, so he's super nice, and he gives you the hat. And we're going to do that really bad friend thing, and we are going to immediately go and sell it. And that's actually because that hat, though it's only 1 point of defense weaker than a hat we can buy here, that hat itself is worth $99. So basically we're going to buy a hat that's just only a little bit weaker for, I believe, 20? Is that right? 19. And then we're immediately going to get $99 back by selling the nicer hat. So we lose 1 point of defense, but that lets us buy this cheap bracelet that gives us 5 more points of defense. So we sell the hat and end up getting 4 more points of defense by doing so. So it's really, really awesome that it works out that way. Now we're doing a despawn here. I'm following the road and then going straight south, and that's to avoid a spawn tile so that none of these sharks spawn on the left side. That's an extremely consistent strat. All right, so we have the first of the Pogo guys. We actually could avoid this one, but we fight him here because that's going to get us up to level 3. And by getting level 3 here, we then are going to go inside. Oh, so because I gained that extra hit point, that extra damage from the snake, the extra experience point, we actually didn't get level 3 there. Normally we get level 3 there, and we would get level 4 from this guy. We're instead skipping level 3, and we're going to get level 4 here. It's a little more dangerous to do it this way, simply because we have to use that bread roll as early as we did. Luckily, this Pogo guy didn't hit me, so we're still fine. We're going to go on to the hula hoop guy. Here's where you have to mash no. Otherwise, he'll tell you to go talk to Frankie to become a member, but he won't move out of your way. All right, so it's a couple hits for this guy. Oof. These guys are pretty straightforward, but they can actually kill you on these runs. And then you go back to the house. Going back to the house is really unfortunate because not only will you be back at your house and have to get all the way back down here, you want to take a free heal from your mother to get your side points back. But on top of all of that, you have to come... there's a picture-taking guy that costs you 15 to 20 seconds. That's also an automatic cutscene when trying to leave the house. So this is Frank. He's pretty straightforward. It's basically you want to attack or you want to life up. If he hits you at all, you want to life up afterwards. And we really don't want to see him brandishing the knife, which is his stronger of the attacks. Here I got really bad RNG, so I'm having to use a burger. Normally I would try not to use a burger at this point. Try to save all the burgers I can. But that was pretty unfortunate. Alright, so now we're going to fight this tank that's his Frankenstein 2. Frankenstein is pretty straightforward. He does... His first attack is always shooting out a burst of steam. And he does that every other round. And then in between he'll attack you. He can either do a weak attack or a strong attack. And he always does a weak attack on the second round. So he shoots a burst of steam, does a weak attack, and then he shoots another burst of steam. And then after that he can do strong or weak. So actually, the beginning of the fight, if you get a smash, you can actually take him out without taking any of his strong attacks. Frank's going to take a moment here to explain some of the things that we need to progress the plot. He's going to tell us that we can go and check out this giant step, but we have to go see the mayor to get the key to the entertainer shack. And we're actually going to leave and come right back, and that's because Frank will give us a free heal, basically resting in an inn, just if we go back to him. So we're going to get all our life points back, as well as our psi points. All right, so this would be a great moment. Some walking to go talk to the mayor. This would be another really good point to do some donations. So we've got some free time here. There's a lot of points like this where we're just kind of walking in the game, dodging enemies. So I'll try to shout all those out when they happen. There's actually that to get underneath that officer there, it's very precise. If you end up walking into him first and getting caught on him, then you can't walk south far enough always to get underneath, and you'll be 1 pixel too high. So you have to go as far south as you can, or you can also walk between the 2 couches. Mayor Perkle here basically says he'll give us the key to the shack. Ooh, that guy got right in my way. Basically says he'll give us the key to the shack, but only if we promise that if we get injured that we won't blame him. Probably should have gotten it in writing, not just taken our word for it, but that's how it is. So this is actually one of the points where we deviate from what the world record does. There's a really risky strat that you can do here that's called burgerless. We're not going to do that for races because it's really crazy, and it only saves you about a minute, but in turn it can cost you big. It's really likely that you'll take a death on either Titanic Ant or on the cop fights. So what we did is we took out 140 cash, which our dad put into our account. And then we're going to fill up our inventory with burgers. I think here I have to fill it up with 6 because I was a little low on, I had to use 1 burger. If all goes well, we should only have to buy at this point, and we don't have to buy before the cop fights. Alright, so now we're going to go to the entertainer shack, which we'll just walk north up to. You'll notice that none of these enemies, if we do spawn any enemies here, they're not going to come at us now. Now that we've beaten the sharks, they kind of are, they've gotten to know our reputation, and they're not going to mess with us. Alright, we're going to use the key to the shack, then we're going to go ahead and go straight through here. We're going to go into the cave, and this is the grinding moment of the run. So we actually have to get 22 slugs. It's a very precise number, and this is where you're first going to see the stutter stepping. So you can see I'm doing an input where I'm basically hitting the D-pad to walk away from the enemies, but I'm doing it in a very precise movement, so that the enemies that have movement that's based off Nesses, which is every enemy in this cave, basically those enemies are not going to get a movement opportunity because Ness is not moving enough at any point for them to get to move. So you can see there we're doing that precise movement again. Stutter stepping is what we call it. Where again, none of the mice are getting a chance to move towards me. All right, and this is a pretty slow slug grind so far. We want to grind down here. There's 2 spawn tiles, and we're going to aim for 4 packs on the bottom here. If you go to the middle level or the top level, you could also spawn. Oh, pardon me. You can also spawn other types of bugs, which are called antoids. All right, so there's those little black dots are the slugs. If we go up to those upper levels, you can also spawn antoids, and they can actually kill you very easily. So we're just going to aim for the slugs. Funny thing about the slugs themselves have 30 hit points. Ness can do anywhere at this point from like 26 to like 37. As he gains levels, he'll also get more. Alright, so the first level, level 6 here. But yeah, so basically you want to do enough to take them out in 1 hit for the best grind opportunity. If you do less than 30 to any of them, you're going to see that I'm going to try to... I'll probably turn off auto fight to try to make sure I attack the same one again. That way if I do hit him for less than 30, I'll still be able to take out at least that one. As far as slugs are concerned, slugs can edge closer to you. Slugs can attack you for 4 damage, 3 damage once you're a couple levels higher. And then slugs can also hypnotize you. They can only have enough psi points to hypnotize you once. And their hypnotize doesn't work very well until after the 4th round of combat. After the 4th round of combat, the slugs are able to use they're able to concentrate, which basically means that their hypnotize will work. So if they do get that hypnotized, they're gonna they'll knock Ness asleep, and then they can get a couple attacks in while we go through. All right, so again, we've got now 12 slugs. After the 12th slug, the battle ends, and we are able to get to level 7. Because of the level ups, it's really easy to keep track of the number of slugs, because you'll gain a level after the first 4-pack, and you'll gain a level after the third 4-pack. So at this point, now that we've got 12 slugs down, we have 10 to go. We could actually do something. We can do we can take out 3 more 4-packs. We can try to get 2 slugs and 2 4-packs, which can be done by trying to despawn 2 of the 4 in the 4-pack. It's not very precise or super likely, but it can happen. Or there is an opportunity. We can go after a 4-pack down on the left side here. All right, that'll get us up to 16. We can go for a 4-pack on the side. Ooh, I'll talk about what just happened first. So what happened there is all those bugs on the top part of the screen are essentially creating too much on the screen, and so when we go to fight one of the slugs, a bunch of other slugs, a bunch of other enemies get considered to join the battle. But because they're so far away and they can't actually get to Nest, they kind of freak out, and the pathing doesn't know what to do, so they end up not getting to us, and in turn we end up fighting one at a time. Now this is something really cool about Earthbound. If you can do enough damage to take an enemy out at the start of battle, and if you're faster than them, then Earthbound will actually, instead of instigating the battle, that whole starting animation happens, but then you'll insta-kill the fight rather than having to actually go into battle with them. This saves time, 1, because it keeps you from having to deal with if you miss. There's no RNG in the battles. It also keeps you from having to deal with the enemy's rounds of attack. You're able to insta-fight. It also gives the opportunity of a bomb drop. A bomb drop, I think, is 1 out of 128 chance. And it doesn't happen very often, but every time you finish a battle, there's a chance of a bomb dropping. So every time we go into those one-time slug fights, it's actually really consistent for it. Okay, so here we just fought 2. So we've got 2 more we're going to fight. Technically, I could have just walked away to the left and tried to get a 4-pack instead, and that would save me from having to fight 2 extra slugs. Wouldn't have saved that much time, but it could have been an opportunity so that I would have gotten perfect 22 rather than having to fight a couple more here. Instead, I'm going to get 1 more 4-pack, and then I'm going to try to escape. As I said before, I could have gone up top and gone for a 6-pack, but again, like I mentioned earlier, that's an extremely risky strat. There's a really good chance that when we get to the top, that we get an Antoid fight, or we just can't get a 6-pack to spawn, and we just keep getting 2 groups of Antoids. It also gets harder to stutter step the more enemies on screen, because you start missing frames. And so if we get a lot of lag on the screen because of enemies, it's going to be really hard to stutter on my way out. So most of the time we just try to despawn them like this. Alright. And I had moved left in hopes that I could get a quick 4-pack, and then I would be closer to this ladder. Because even if we do defeat these guys, and we get to level 8 super fast, we still have to get to the very top of this area. And that can be a real pain. So anyways, this is also a great opportunity. Once we basically talk about how to get the slugs and all of that, it's a really good time to do donations, to read off some donations. So we're always hoping for 24 offense. 24 offense is enough offense that if you get into a battle with 1 Antoid, you'll instantly defeat it. I got 3 offense on that level, so it's really unlikely that I have 24 offense right now. Alright, so here you can see me. I'm trying to stutter past everything, but as more bugs end up on the screen, the less chance I have of despawning things. So this is actually really rough. I had a lot of time save on this run, and it is not looking good because of a bad slug grind. Alright, so these ropes, you can technically stutter up them too, but it's not very consistent. I'm going to try to stutter past these enemies, but again, if I have more that spawn on the screen, it's going to make it a lot more difficult to get past them. So I actually get him stuck on those stalagmites. And then we keep going. All right, so I lifed up there. We're actually going to grab a butterfly here. Butterflies give you 20 psi points back. They also take a little bit of time for their animation to go through. So I grabbed that one. It's a very consistent spawn, but if I don't get it, I can always walk far to the right and spawn another one. All right, so we're going to try to get in this cave. I'm hoping to not see a lot of enemies. You can see I'm trying to stutter past these guys. Everything is stutterable. It's just whether or not I get the movements right. All right, that was pretty clean. Went for the stutter here. And in this next room, sometimes these bugs will spawn right on top of you, and so when you enter the area, you'll actually be right on top of a bug, and so you have to insta fight. And that's really bad. Those antoids have a good chance of taking you out. So again, I'm not risking it with the battles. I could stutter step just about any of these groups, but if I do miss a stutter, there's a good chance I'm going to end up in a fight. And there's that fight I was talking about. And I guess I did have the 24 offense. I must have just barely gotten it. So I was able to take them out pretty easily. All right, we're coming up on Titanic Ant. Titanic Ant is one of the biggest killers of the run. This is the point when we can really split off in a race, but there's a lot of points that we can make up. I'm going to do 2 Psi Rockins. They're Psi 8th notes on this version because of what I selected at the beginning. But I'm going to do 2 Psi Rockins. The first one hopefully will kill off both Antoids and do a decent amount of Titanic Ant. I'm going to do a second one. 82 is not bad. It can do up to 120, but I think it can go as low as 40. The Titanic Ant can actually take me out right here, so it's really, really difficult to get past this part of the run. We're basically going to have to attack him. I think he's only got 1 more attack before he's down. The Titanic Ant can attack you. He can hit you and smash you, which is like a dead run right away. He can also drain your psi points with that magnet move. We're hoping that he doesn't do that before we get the 2 Rockins off. He can also put up a shield, and he can also lower your defense. Lowering our defense and trying to drain our psi points once we've used up all of them, both those are the best case scenario. If he drains psi points before we've done 2 Rockins, it is heartbreaking, and it makes it very difficult to get past him because you just have to rely on attack. If he shields, our attack does half damage until we've done 3 attacks and we break his shield. Most of the races I've done have had deaths on the Ant. Pretty much every single race I've been a part of, somebody's died on the Ant. It is just really inconsistent. But as I said, there's a lot of points that you can make up, and actually the next point that's a very common death point is the cop fights that we're coming up on. So again, if you did burgerless, you would not have burgers, any extra burgers at this point. You would have gotten 2 at the beginning, 1 from the trash can, and then 1 from this present. So I had to use, I think, 1 burger on Frankenstein, 2 on the Ants, and so I would only have 1 burger now for the cop fight, and that is really risky. As a side note, we did get a full heal from the little step up there. I'm sorry, giant step. And we also, you'll notice all these enemies are running from us. Once you beat Titanic Ant, the enemies realize how powerful you are. I guess they catch wind of your fame and realize that you could kick their butt, and so they all run away. Here's another point. There's a little optimization, I think, if we say no here. And like I said, those butterflies can totally get in your way. You can see me throwing my left arm up in argument with that butterfly getting in my path. All right, so that officer basically said, hey, you know, you sassy kid, you weren't supposed to go in here. And when we tell him that we couldn't read the sign saying don't go in, he tells us to come to the police station. Basically, the police always have barriers in ONET, and so in order for us to get past them, we have to go talk to the captain, Captain Strong, and he's actually going to fight with us. He's actually going to have 4 of his officers fight us, and then he will too. So not the kindest officers, but I guess they just want to test our strength. So we're going to show our moves here in just a moment and see how we do. Again, this is another quick death point in the run. It's very easy to take a death from these guys if you run out of burgers, or if Strong just happens to use 2 strong attacks in a row. All right, so show your moves. Here we go. So the cop fights are pretty straightforward. They can do a regular attack. They can do a chop attack. That was a regular attack. The chop does around 30 damage. That was a great start. And you'll notice we can take them out in 3 attacks. If we get a smash, we'll take them out in 1 attack, which is really awesome. They can also smash us, I believe, for 45 damage. So we're hoping not to see any of those because those are a really easy way to take a death. All right, so there's that crushing chop that does close to 30 and only did 27. I can also use my Psy life up to heal up. But I'm going to try and stick with burgers as much as possible. There's a smash, but I think it was after I had done 3 damage or 2 rounds of attacks to him. So it was actually a pointless smash. If we'd gotten that on the first round, though, we could have saved some time. The cops also have like a 1 in 8 chance of dropping a burger. So it could be that we get here with no burgers and get burger drops from every fight, but it's highly unlikely. Most of the time, you're lucky to get 1. I try to save my life ups until the 4th cop fight. The 5th cop actually will run away from you because he realizes that you're big and scary. But the first 4 will go ahead and take you on. So that last guy's going to run off, but we've got this one right before him. This one, you really want to be close to full health so that you can just use 2 Cyrockins against Strong. Strong only has, I believe, 120 hit points. Nice, there's a smash. All right, so I'm going to heal up here on Strong and hope that Strong doesn't take us out. He can do a couple things. He can lose his temper, which raises his offense. He can stay on guard. He can basically he can attack, and he can do a submission hold. If he does a submission hold, he can take us out in 2 turns. And here, if he actually did it, he could have just outright taken me out on the first turn. Yep, so there's that grappled into submission hold. So if he does that a second time, I'm dead. Also, your Cyrockin can miss. But if your Cyrockin misses, but then you do enough damage to take him out before you die, then you will still be able to complete it, and you'll end up beating the boss fight with only 1 hit point. Alright, so he's going to call to the officers to tell them to open up the path for us so that we can get through. And we're going to continue to Tucson. So we had Onett, we're going to Tucson, and later on we'll go to Threed, because this game has a number theme for their towns. So at this point, we're done in Onett. We actually don't need to hang out here anymore. We can just go straight south and leave the area. We do have to be careful. There are some ninja shrooms, we call them, which are these mushroom enemies that are not too deadly, but if the Ramblin' mushrooms do manage to, they shoot out a spore attack that if we'll get a mushroom on our head, and if they do manage to hit us with that, then basically every 15 to 30 seconds, our D-pad will switch what all the directions do. And so it's a pretty big run killer. There are a couple people we can go to that will actually buy the mushroom off our head, so we actually make money off the mushroom. But the fact that we have to get to them is difficult, and we have to actually talk with them. So ideally, it's best if that doesn't happen. So hopefully we just flat out don't see that. We're going to take out 500 cash, and that's to buy a couple things that we need. And then we're actually going to set up the death warp here. We're going to save by calling our dad, and then we're basically going to tell him, basically what's going to happen is later on we're going to take a death that's going to let us warp back here. It's going to save what we've done so far in the game. So it's going to continue any plot points that we have. So it's just a quicker way for us to get back to Tucson once we do what we need to do in another town. But we'll have more on that later. So here I'm actually going to go to this guy called Apple Kid. Apple Kid is an inventor, and he actually is who we need to keep the plot going here. He's going to make an item for us. It's going to let us continue on in the game. But first, we have to go see him, and we need to give him a piece of food. If you get a cookie, or if you still have the bread roll, or if you get any drops other than burgers, you can give him those. But otherwise, we'll just give him a burger. We did pick up a burger and a present on our way here, so we do have an extra burger from that. I always feel guilty when you give him a cookie because that is definitely not going to satisfy his hunger and certainly is not good nutrition. So then he's going to ask us to invest in his company. We're going to give him $200 because he's cool. His mouse is going to give us a receiver phone. I'm not sure how the mouse got it, but he's going to anyways. And now we're going to hit a couple plot points that we need to hit. First of all, you see me going after that butterfly down there. We would need to get 2 butterflies. We're going to get 1, and then we're going to life up to full health, and then we need another one to give us full psi points. We need to be full psi points when we get to Happy Happy Village, so that we don't die horribly. But first, we have to get through what they call Peaceful Rest Valley, which is anything but restful. We actually recently, somebody realized that Peaceful Rest Valley doesn't stand for a restful valley that's totally chill and awesome, but a place where you go to die. And unfortunately, that is exactly where a lot of our runs go if they make it this far. So what we're going to do is there's this thing called the pencil statue. And Apple Kid actually makes us an item that will get rid of the pencil statue. But before that happens, we have to spawn it on our screen. So we're going to actually go and spawn that pencil statue. And then we have to come back and he will call us and tell us that he's invented a new item since we last saw him a minute ago. And yeah, we're going to go pick it up and then we can erase pencils. He seems to be really intuitive with what we need when. There's actually, I don't do it here, but there's actually some spawn tiles that basically if you walk across a certain line, it has a certain percentage chance of spawning an enemy, but we can actually dodge that tile. So you can see in the top right there that we did spawn that pencil statue. But yeah, so there's some spawn tiles that we can actually dodge. I didn't take advantage of them here, and so I actually, you can see I got that spawn right there on the bottom left. By not going to the right side of this tree, I'm actually encouraging that I spawn an enemy. So normally you'd want to go to the right side of the tree, and then you want to get really close to this cliff here. I do get close to the cliff and probably dodge that spawn tile there. But yeah, there's more consistency. There's ways that you can, just like with the sharks at the beginning, where you can abuse whether or not you get spawned. Again, I talked earlier about despawning enemies. You can see as I walk back and forth here, whenever I get an enemy, I have to walk backwards, despawn them. If you get an enemy too close to a load zone, then you actually can't despawn them. You have to go out of the area, which causes you to have to reload the zone, and it's really inconsistent doing that. It's faster just to walk. All right, here we get that phone call from Apple Kid. At this point, it's a really good time. We still need one more butterfly, but this would be a great time for donations. Good chance to read through some things. These donation points happen pretty consistently in all the runs. So because there's a lot of walking that we do, it's really easy to have lots of time to give donations during this. All right, so we're going to go to Berglund Park to meet Apple Kid because apparently he was able to invent an item and walk to the other side of town in the time that we walked to that pencil statue. And we're actually going to go to him, and he is going to give us the pencil eraser. The pencil eraser will erase pencil statues, straightforward. And we're going to utilize that right away to get forward in the game. That's Berglund, by the way, over there in Berglund Park, over to the left. Not Berglund. Oh, I can't think of his name. Clearly need to study that. But yeah, he'll actually fight you right now if you go too close to him. So you don't want to go any closer to him than we were, because he'll jump off the roof and fight you. We actually can skip that fight entirely. I didn't know that as a kid. I fought him many times without realizing I could have just saved myself the trouble. Skipped him, came back later, and he'll give us a wad of cash. Alright, so we're hoping for some decent zero spawns here. That's a really bad spawn. So that's one that I have to go back through the load zone. There's no way to despawn that guy. So again, I'm walking across that spawn tile instead of dodging it. So I actually wasn't aware of the spawn tiles when I did this run. So it cost myself some time there. Alright, we have the pencil statue. I'm just going to go ahead and use this pencil eraser, and it's going to be gone. And we can continue with the run. Alright, so the rest of Peaceful Rest Valley, I think we still need one more butterfly that I'll try to snag. Basically, it's just despawning enemies. It's really a scary place. But it is, as long as we go back and forth and we don't get any fights and pincered, then we should just be able to despawn all these enemies. You can see I had a big group waiting for me there. There are a couple more spawn tile abuses. There's one here that I walked right across. And there's another one here where there's two that you have to go across, but you can at least dodge... well, there's one you have to go across, but you can dodge two of them if you know of them. 90% butterfly spawn there, so it's really consistent to get that last butterfly here. Alright, but anyways, the rest of this is going to be scary, but other than that, it is great donation spots. Only issue is you might have the crowd yelling as we try to run from enemies. It's actually a really intense game. As much of a chill RPG as it is, because you can see the enemies outside of battle before you actually get in fights with them, it can be quite exciting to be watching. And I have definitely myself watched some of the other runners who are going to be who are also submitting this run, where I've been watching them, and I myself have been yelling in my living room because they got so close to getting fights and somehow miraculously slid by. So it can be really, really involved with that. You see a spawn right there on the bottom left too. Alright, so here we're going into Happy Happy Village. Happy Happy Village is actually kind of a cult-focused area. There's this guy, Carpainter, who basically makes everyone obsessed with the color blue. And so the whole town is all like about this color blue, and there's essentially in the middle of town there's this like sanctuary type place where everyone's kind of meeting. It's very strange, but it turns out there's this statue that's got them all under control. And yeah, I actually just made a big mistake there. I think I bought the frying pan, which you're not supposed to do, so totally didn't need to do that. Or I almost bought it. It gives you an opportunity to cancel if you don't need to actually buy it. So I ended up canceling it there, but that could have been really silly. We won't give Paula a weapon because we don't actually need her to ever attack in this run. Alright, so we're going up to what we call Shack Fight. First of all, we got to slide by these crows. Luckily, there's a path that's pretty easy to get through. And we're going to go into this shack and meet Paula. Here is Paula. She's going to give us an item called the Franklin Badge. This Franklin Badge is extremely important for the Carpainter fight. Basically, he shoots lightning at you that can take you out instantly. And if you don't get this badge, if you get this badge, then it will reflect that lightning back at him. And actually, we can get, if you get 2 reflects in a row, you can actually take him out the first round of combat. But it is, I think, a 1 out of 4 chance, so it's not super common. Also, by getting the Franklin Badge, we actually can go ahead and fight Carpainter. So if we do die here and have to walk all the way back through Peaceful Rest Valley, it is not the worst thing, simply because we are able to we're able to skip this fight a second time. Still lose a lot of time, but we don't have to go back and fight these guys again. So again, we're going to use our Cyrocken and hope that we can take them out really quickly. I used 2 Cyrockens there to basically weaken them. If they call for help, we might have to attack more on top of that. I actually recently had a run where they called for help 7 times, and I ended up dying there, but almost made it through. But it was very rough, and it ended up costing me the run majorly. All right, so we're going to go now to that middle sanctuary I talked about. You are going to see a lot of lag hit the screen once we get inside there, and things will slow to a crawl right towards the end of it. This lady here can actually get in your way of the door, and those blue guys that you saw spawn down below can actually catch up and fight you. We only have to fight one of these guys now, and that's how we like to keep it. So we'll get a couple puns here, green, green, and then my personal favorite, the final blue, blue. Blue, blue, yep, just trying to whistle. And then this guy's going to fight us. And then after that, it is Carpainter. And you're noticing things have already slowed down a lot. So we're also going to be mindful of the fact that we're hoping... Nice smash. We're hoping to have very low health after our Carpainter fight so that we can do a death warp. But we don't want Carpainter to kill us, so I'm going to eat a burger because my health is way too low. But what we'll do is we're going to try to keep our health super low so that when we finish our Carpainter fight, we are able to be taken out very quickly. And that's where that death warp will happen. Alright, so here's Carpainter. So actually, he's under the control of what we call the Manny Manny statue. You can see behind him the Manny Manny statue. And if we don't have the Franklin Badge to reflect that lightning right there, we actually can't even fight him. We just warp out of this place. Alright, so we got 2 misses. Not a good start. Alright, 2 more misses. So it could have ended on the first turn, and at this point, if he had reflected one of those, I probably could have taken him out by now. Instead, I'm going to have to attack him multiple times here and hope that I can do some damage. Ooh, man. So that's a 1 out of 4 chance that now has been wrong 6 times. So we've gotten no luck 6 times in a row. Alright, we did finally take him out, and we have 36 health, which is not terrible. We did lose a lot of time on the fight. But the low health is very good. And makes the Death Warp a lot easier. So we have 2 options with the Death Warp. First, we have to go back and get Paula. And then we have to kind of decide if we want to risk it with the mole, or if we want to go and have one of the robots take us out. The robots are more consistent with damage, and they can also give us colds to make us basically like being poisoned or for health slip each turn. Or health leak, I mean. But, God, blue guy got in my way a little bit there. But yeah, the mole itself has moves it'll do, and it can also make itself feel strange. And if it does that a bunch, it will not kill us quickly, and the Death Warp will take forever. And we really hate it when that happens, so hopefully we don't see that. Hopefully it'll go nice and quickly. This cave can spawn those blue guys, and actually getting a spawn fight with them, because they can call for help, is really, really detrimental to the run. So if we don't, we can despawn them, but we have to really make sure we're careful to run backwards right away. All right, so this is Paula. We actually can drop all our items here before we get her. We can drop the Holmes hat and drop the bracelet, and that'll actually let us deal with the fact that there's an extra menu that appears once we get her, and we could get past that if we get rid of those first. And basically we get rid of these items because we don't want any defensive items equipped on Ness or on Paula, and so we're going to just unequip these items by giving them to Paula. And we're also going to drop this teddy bear. The teddy bear, there's a percentage chance when an enemy attacks, I think it's 75%, that they will attack the teddy bear instead of attacking you. So we don't want to have that teddy bear. They're really good for defensive reasons, but we don't want to have it for this Death Warp because we really want to take a quick death. The other advantage for going for the robots is if we can get to a present. If we can get to this present in Peaceful Rest Valley, we can actually get this thing called a Cup of Life Noodles, which is a life up item. And if we can get to that, then we don't have to go to the hospital to heal Paula in a little bit. Alright, so Paula has a cold, and the other guy gave himself a shield. So we're going to do this thing where we use the ATM. Ness basically looks at the ATM in battle, and it does absolutely nothing. Alright, so Paula's already down, and Ness is using the ATM. We just need one of these guys to hit us. That is a very fast Death Warp, so it's super quick. So we actually don't need to go to the ATM right now. I didn't know it at the time that I did this run. We can actually skip the ATM if we have more than 100 gold, because we can heal Paula at the hospital for 100. So could have saved myself a little bit of time. Hospital menus are tricky to navigate. Alright, but we've healed her back up. We now just have to do some progressing of the plot. Basically, we have to talk to Luigi here. Luigi's going to give us a backstage pass, which we'll use in a little bit. We also are going to go south to Paula's house to talk to her dad, and then Everdred, that's his name, Everdred, not Berglin. Everdred is going to... Someone's going to tell us that Everdred's looking for us, and then when we go to the park, Everdred's going to give us the wad of cash, and we'll explain what those things are useful for in a moment. But this is another good time just to talk, to give donations, because basically it's just some plot points, a lot of talking, which we're going to skip through anyways, so you guys don't need to hear that stuff. So this would be a great donation time. Instead, let's talk for a moment about Paula. Paula is a apparently this like teacher character. So this is like the pop star school, and she is a teacher there. And basically, when Ness first gets here, if you talk to people, everyone just talks about how they all either love Paula or they all miss Paula because nobody knows where Paula is because she went missing. And you, I think after fighting Everdread, maybe he tells you, gives you some information on where she is. But you basically find out that she got kidnapped. And I believe what happened is the Manny Manny statue convinced Carpainter to kidnap her because Gygas influenced it. So Gygas knew that Paula would be detrimental to his plot to take over the world, and that she would help Ness defeat him. So he sent for her to be kidnapped. All right, so we got the Wada Bills. The Wada Bills is not, it's like $10,000 cash, but it actually doesn't go into your wallet. You actually keep it as just a wad of bills. And it's actually a needed item here because it allows us to progress the plot. So you saw we did this weird movement where he kind of guided off the side of the building there. And that's actually because we're skipping a photo trigger. There's actually a photo person right there just waiting to jump down. But if you glide right along the side of the building, you can totally skip that. All right, so the concert won't start until you talk to this lady here. She's going to have you run. You can talk to the stage or you can talk to her. If you talk to the stage, it actually doesn't progress the plot, so you have to go this way. But yeah, so she drags us backstage. We immediately leave. And then after a little bit of text here, we get one of the other cutscenes in the run. So this is actually a really exciting point. I like to dance during this. I don't remember if I did in this PV, but I think that could be a really fun incentive for the game, is to do to make each of the runners get up and maybe dance during the Runaway 5 play scene. You also could have the announcer come over and dance. You could have other people do things. If I was possibly involved, I might even be willing to write out lyrics to go with the tune, and maybe we could do a song, an Earthbound song here. But I could try to think something out. But all right, so here's the dancing. I apologize, guys. Just ignore me. But yeah, so basically everybody always asks, why is it the Runaway 5 when there's 6 people? And that's actually because the keyboardist, when they get to leave here in a moment, the keyboardist is not going to go with. The keyboardist is an in-house musician that apparently just stays at the club. So there you have it. Well, definitely that's something that needs to be mentioned in the run. All right, music time's over. The dancing has finished. So we actually have to watch that, because if we go to, we basically now need to give the wad of the bills to the manager, and the manager will let the Runaway 5 run away. But if you show him the wad of bills early, he actually says, oh, I won't discuss anything till after the show. So you actually have to leave, go watch the show, and come back. Now, if you talk to him, if you show him the wad of bills from the other side of the desk, he'll actually tell you to come to the other side of the counter so he can take a closer look at them. So if you don't go straight to him and show him the wad of bills, then it ends up just being a total waste of time. So little optimizations like that are all over this run. All right, so again, we're going to walk right to avoid that photo trigger because it's still active. And as long as we don't walk right in front of that door, we're able to avoid it. All right, so now we have another cutscene. Sirium, the world record holder, always talks about this bus. This is their tour bus, and apparently it's got like 4-wheel turning drive, and it can turn on a dime. Like seriously, you can see right here, just turns on a dime. So I don't know what kind of turning radius they have set up for that thing, or how they made it so that it turns so nicely, but apparently that's what it takes to outrun these zombies and ghosts. So you actually, if you try to go to 3 early, if you try to take a bus out there, the ghosts in this tunnel will actually catch up with the bus and force the bus to go back, and the bus just teleports back, and the bus driver goes, I'm getting out of here, like I'm not going back there again. But apparently the tour bus is too scary for ghosts. 1, it goes too fast. 2, it's too loud of music, and so they won't actually come to this. Speaking of music, one of the things I do feel really bad about is because I'm recording commentary over the top and I didn't want my original commentary in it, You guys aren't getting to hear all the awesome music in this game. This game has amazing music. They did such a good job with it. And it's really disappointing that that I can't share that with you guys here. But I do apologize for that. Alright, so we're in Threed. Threed is overran with zombies and ghosts and these creepy puppet guys. And so we're actually going to go to the graveyard, the creepiest place. Because that's what you do when there's zombies and ghosts running around. You run to the graveyard where it's even creepier. But we're going to go there so that we can hit a spawn, or we can hit a plot trigger that's going to let us basically advance the plot. We're not going to save Threed. You would only do that by taking out Master Belch, which we don't do in this version because once we finish the tent, we're finished. Alright, so there's the zombies hanging out in the graveyard. We've now seen them, so we can go back this way. You could see we spawned a bunch of flies over there. We don't want any spawns at this point. It's really easy to take a death here. If you do die, it will get you back pretty quickly. You'll spawn back to where that bus was, and we don't actually have to come back and hit that spawn trigger again, but it does lose a little bit of time. Because we didn't die, though, we're good, so we're going to keep going. We're going to talk to this not suspicious-looking lady at all. Definitely not suspicious-looking. So if you could hear the music now, the hotel music here is, like, all wonky and off. Like those old VHS when the tracking's off and it has, like, weird sound. And that's actually because it's a trap. Zombies took over the hotel. They don't know how to play the music right, so it comes out wrong. And we actually are captured now. So we actually have been locked in this room. We have no way of getting out. So we don't really know what to do. Ness is kind of at a loss. But luckily, Paula's got a thing that she's always able to do to help out. So she's actually going to pray. And going to take a moment and pray and call out to someone that we've never met. And apparently, Jeff here is very sensitive to prayers. So he's going to hear this. And he's going to wake up. Apparently, he's a very light sleeper, and apparently, she's got like some type of a receiver that's going to his room so that he can hear her. I don't really know the plot. I don't really know what happened with that, but you know, I guess it works this way. Again, these are more chances. There's so many moments of donations in this run. I know I'm not stopping talking very much now, but that's only because I figured there's no donations to be read right now, so I might as well just talk. But there's tons of plot points where we're mostly just walking. So here we're basically Jeff is now going to try to, he woke up and he knows that somebody needs his help, so he's going to try and get to them. He really doesn't know where he's going or what he's doing, but he's going to figure it out on the way. His roommate here is going to join him. And basically, we need to leave the place. But in order to do that, we're actually going to first arm up. We need to get some gear. So we're going to talk to this guy. We've kind of decided that that this guy's kind of a jerk. He basically is going to give us this bent locker key. He said, it's a little bent. It might not work, but go ahead and use this. And we're going to go back over to the lockers. We're going to try to use this key. Doesn't matter which one you use it on. As soon as you try to use it, you find out it doesn't fit. So we're going to go back, and he's going to go, oh, it didn't work? Yeah, I kind of thought that'd be the case. I actually made this bad key machine that will open locks. Yes, he literally was making a device that lets us open locks, but first he wanted to send us with this bent key. It's like another 30 seconds we could shave off this run if we had just been given the key machine in the first place. But we're going to use the bad key machine to open a couple of the lockers. This one on the bottom left and the one on the top right. We get a Holmes hat, and we also get a pop gun. And we're going to equip them quickly, and then we're going to leave. I think if you don't equip them, you actually aren't allowed. They won't let you leave. I think you have to equip at least the pop gun. Alright, so now we're going to get everyone's favorite monkey. It's called Bubble Monkey. So we're actually going to get this bubble gum from this nice lady. And then we're going to give that bubble gum to Bubble Monkey, who he's going to do something kind of special with it. Alright, so here he is. He's going to blow a nice giant bubble. And believe it or not, that is a really important point to the plot that he can do that. And we will be using that several times. Apparently that Bubble Monkey's full of a bunch of helium or something. Alright, so there's some spawn points here. There's some enemy spawns. Jeff is not likely to die unless we end up fighting a goat. The dogs are totally fine. They'll be nice quick kills. And actually, this dog will let him gain a level, and there's also a possible bread roll drop that we can get from the dog, and that'll really help us out when we get to Brick Road. Brick Road is another really common death point in this run, so hopefully we get by that smoothly here. So once again, we're just doing some walking. Walking, maybe fighting, maybe despawning. We'll see. Alright, that's pretty clean. So we're coming up on Tessie. Tessie only spawns when it's windy, and as you can tell, it's not very windy. We're not seeing any wind on the screen. So we're actually going to go sleep, and we're going to take a nap, and he'll wake us up when it's actually windy outside. Alright, once again, Paula's going to call us. I guess he brought the phone with him or something. Alright, so that also gives us a full heal. Alright, so again, there is another photo trigger here that we're going to try to avoid. And then we're actually going to wait here with Bubble Monkey to hit this stop point. If you don't let Bubble Monkey catch up first, then he will slow walk all the way over to you to catch up. And it's very, very slow. Instead, we waited just a little bit so he'd walk quickly to us, and then we're able to hit the spawn trigger for Tessie. And this is Tessie! Really cute character that only gets showcased a couple times in the run, and only to show off a little bit of water movement. So here we go with some Tessie. So this would be another point, another easy point for donations. Basically, Tessie's going to take us around the lake a little bit. Alright, and then we actually have to wait until Tessie walks all the way off the screen on the bottom right. So we're going to do some really precise movement again to avoid a spawn trigger here. You'll see us walk hard left, south, I guess southwest, and then we're going to immediately follow that with southeast. And that's actually to avoid a 100% goat spawn here. So it's actually possible to avoid all of the enemies here. You can actually not despawn, but you can avoid these presents. And that's actually really important for this first one. This first one can call for help, as it just did there. And if they hit you enough, they can actually kill you very easily. So, and the protoplasms can keep calling for help. So we managed to take out one very quickly, but if this guy kills us, we will go back to that Tessie point back up there. Oof, and this is looking close. Alright, if we can get this last hit, we should be fine. Cool. Alright, so it's very common to die there, but if you do die, you just go back to where Tessie dropped you off at, so it's not a huge loss. But I know in my previous PB run on this, I had lost that 2 minutes and 20 seconds in this spot. Alright, so we can actually despawn, like I said, we can despawn all these enemies. If we can get this duck to walk right here, oof, that is not good. We need him to have walked south some too. Alright, this should be good. That might work. Alright, he did get himself stuck, as you see. And we can actually skip past this last one, too, with Bubble Monkey's help. Bubble Monkey stayed with us there, so we managed to get 2 skips. Think that might give us a gold split here. Yep. That was a really, really, really good brick road. The only way to do better is to skip the first guy also. Alright, so now we get into what we call Pond Cave. Pond Cave... First of all, Pond Cave is very difficult to get into, I find. So we can stutter step most of the enemies here. And you can see here that I stutter step my way in. And I'm going to try to stutter past this mouse. If I can get far enough away from him, he'll despawn, and then I can walk backwards very easily, but this game is not being friendly with it. Alright, we did manage to get past him. I'm probably going to despawn him and then despawn these enemies so we can progress forward. Oof. Yeah, it's really rough. So it's going to be a lot of despawning, some stutter stepping through, try to get through sections of this. Alright, I think I didn't want to take this, I guess. Sometimes it's just figuring out where you can stutter. Stuttering is not guaranteed, especially when there's more enemies on the screen. It can be very difficult to stutter past them. Alright, so you can see here I'm having a really hard time keeping these guys from attacking me. I did manage to get through, though. That's pretty lucky. Hopefully we get some good RNG here, too. So you can't stutter the mushrooms. There's no way I can stutter past the mushrooms, but they do have a very small aggro radius, so we can sneak by them if they're not very close. Oh, we got a clean third room, I think. Second room. All right. Third room, once again, we have to deal with more mushrooms, so as long as we stay away from their aggro radius, we're fine. We'll just despawn them here. Again, it's much faster to despawn just walking back and forth like this than trying to rely on going through the doorway. So this is actually, we're gonna come up on the last despawn trigger here. We have one more thing we're gonna try to despawn up top. I think I'm going to grab the rocket. I'll probably grab the rocket in my, unless I'm super close on the actual run. Alright, so again, last despawn point here. Basically, we want to sneak past these guys. That's pretty good. Only one despawn. Alright, and Monkey has found true love. He's going to run off with this monkey with the bow on our head. And then we're pretty much past most of the spawn points in the run. Basically, we've got to get by these cave boys, which can take us out. There is a despawn I didn't abuse there, but it shouldn't matter. They're pretty slow moving, so they're really unlikely to catch us. And then we just have to deal with some spawns at Threed. Hopefully we have a clean walk to the boogie tent, and we will be good to go. This is Jeff's father. He hasn't called him in a long time. So Jeff's kind of sad about that, but he's meeting his dad anyways, and yeah. He's going to give us this thing called the Skyrunner. Skyrunner basically is going to let Jeff fly. Looks like a UFO, and he's basically going to be able to fly to save Ness and Paula. And this is another big cutscene that is a great donation point. Definitely can figure out something fun to do with this. But most likely can just read donations. It's a good time to see what the other runners are doing, depending on how the race is going, and just to kind of check up with them on it. It's also a very common bathroom break for runners, as you can see with me running off my screen. But yeah. So we actually get to see Foresight here. There's a little sneak peek at a town that we'll be coming to in a little bit. But you won't actually see it in this run because we are almost done here. And it might seem like at this point, pretty much the person in front is home free, but the boogie tent can actually just take you out. And pretty much if you die to boogie tent twice in a row, the run is gone. It's almost impossible for you to get through it. It's basically a soft lock because you don't have enough cash to heal your characters and to rest at the inn. And yeah, it just becomes really, really rough. Hopefully we don't see that. There is a safety teddy bear that you can grab that gives you a little bit of a safety net to keep from losing the run. And as mentioned, Jeff is flying around on what we call the Sky Runner. And it actually would be a great item, man. We could just like fly to some of the points in the game with the Sky Runner. Unfortunately, Jeff's not a great pilot, and unfortunately, he doesn't know how to get down to the graveyard and save us. He just knows the whereabouts of where we are, and so well, some bad things are about to happen. And there you have it, smashing to us through the ground. All right, so you can actually say no to Jeff here when he asks to join your party if he can help you. First of all, he undersells himself very hard. And then you can actually say no, and if you say no, it's like the most guilty message, because he's literally just said, like, you know, I'm nearsighted, I'm not very good at things, and I'm not super, you know, physical and all that. And then basically you're like, no, on second thought, I think we can get out of this on our own. And so then I definitely feel like a huge jerk when that happens. All right, so that bad key machine that we got, that Jeff got, is extremely helpful getting through that locked door. And then we're actually able to get out of here. So we're going to run to the right. We're going to grab this teddy bear for a little bit of safety. And then it's a race to the boogie tent. If we still have the skip sandwich, which I think we do, yeah. So we grab this skip sandwich after Car Painter. We're going to use it now. It's just a quicker way to race down there. It also can help if we get spawned here. We have a better chance of running away from them with the skip sandwich. As you can see, it makes us move very quickly. And that's definitely ideal. All right, so this is the boogie tent. That dog spawn is very dangerous. If you get in a fight with that dog can kill you. Also, the boogie tent itself can kill you. Ness's big bottle rocket, or not Ness's, Jeff's big bottle rocket here can do massive damage. It can do anywhere from, like, I've seen it do, I think, 300, maybe even 250, to I've seen it do, like, 700. So anything, like, above 500 is pretty safe. You're most likely going to take them out. But if it does less, then you can easily lose the run. If it does, like, 200, there's a really good chance that you're not going to be able to get enough damage with the other characters before they die, and you'll actually end up losing the entire run. So as you can see, we've defeated the boogie tent, but the run is not over yet. We still need to get to that fly honey. So this is actually a mash to the end here. We've technically finished any RNG. Anything that could kill the run is done. But now we really need to push through, get to the trash can, get the fly honey out of it, and then we can split our time. So again, time is on fly honey. You'll see that zombie dog's still there. Zombie dog's now gone. These zombies can't fight you. They just run away because you killed the tent. And there it is. That is time. So that's boogie percent for you guys. No, I don't think we need to watch another video. Thank you. But yeah, so that's what boogie tent basically looks like. And yeah, that's Earthbound Boogey percent. So I'm submitting for this as a backup runner for it. I know that they've got, I think, 4 people, and we've got 2 backups listed, and we just wanted to have the backups in case anything does happen. This would be an outstanding game to show in GDQ. I think you can clearly see all of the input that can be made in it. You can see all the donation spots. You can see all of the RNG that goes in the actual game, as well as there's a lot of tech with the stutter stepping, a lot of certain moves that we do to guarantee through enemies and such. Grabbing that, using the big bottle rocket on the tent, all those small things, and it's a really viable race category, and it's very safe in the sense that it's completable. But at the same time, there's a lot of RNG and anything can happen. And as I previously mentioned, there have been races that we've had where one person is easily favored, and then that person just got some bad RNG, and suddenly the guy in last place is suddenly the person in first place. So there's a lot of turnover that can happen in these runs that makes it very exciting and very fun to have in a tournament style race, or in a race that's being out over the internet. So anyways, all that being said, my name is SorcererSeige, and I really do appreciate you guys watching this video, and I wish you luck in your selection process, and hopefully you guys are able to put Earthbound in there. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you guys all the best, and I will see you at AGDQ, whether or not I'm in it. I'll see you there. All right, bye-bye.